Hello dear subscribers, most watch me without a subscription. Support my channel, subscribe. I put up videos for you every day. Test story 1. My ex demands that I pay alimony for his child from another girl. My family is on his side. Some years ago, I dated a girl. The relationship was bad. She was very controlling and abusive. It ended up really bad, and we broke up. I kept going on with my life, and after some years I got a decent job, enough to solve all my needs, have a comfortable life, and make some savings. The thing is, a couple months after getting my job, my ex contacted me. She first asked me to talk. I believed that she may want to reconnect or something, but she showed up with a 5-year-old child, claiming he was my son and demanding for child support. I didn't believe her, but the child age matched the time since we cut contact. I got advice from a lawyer, a friend of mine, to try to solve this out of the court. I offered to take responsibility, pay all the costs, and being an active part of the kid's life, only after making a DNA test. Everyone was awkward with this except for my ex. She acted offended and demanded to just give her the money she deserved. She used all the excuses she could, even contacted my family to tell them I was trying to avoid taking responsibility of her child. When she ran out of excuses and the DNA test was finally made, and surprise, I'm not the father. She was so mad with the result and cried about the money, saying it was unfair and she deserved it. But she didn't accomplish anything. Moving on to the last week, there was a little party on my parents' house. My brother, a friend, and I were talking, and my brother started to joke about the situation with my ex. My friend and I started to joke about it too. Some of our comments were a little dark and bad, but we were far away from the rest of the people. Literally, we were on the opposite side of the house, and nobody else could hear us. At least that was what we thought. We were laughing like crazies when my sister appeared very angry and pushed me against the wall. She spied us and heard our conversation, and she was really mad. She started to yell at us about how horrible people we were for being mocking a poor woman. Few hours later, when the party ended, she asked me to go to the kitchen with our parents, and she started to say how awful I was for the previous situation. Apparently, my ex had been in contact with her, and she believed her version, and that was her way to have an intervention. My brother and I were like, "Are you serious?" When she started to say how I forced my ex into be a single mother, and that I have the moral obligation to help her. My dad only said that we maybe were being too cruel making jokes of her, but that I wasn't responsible for that kid. My mom then surprised all of us when she said, "Even if the kid is not yours, you are making more than enough money to support that child. You should have helped her." Since then, I had been receiving texts. My dad and my brother are on my side, saying I'm not responsible for her, but my sister is telling me how horrible I am for ruining their lives. My mom only said, "It's your decision, and I respect it. I'm just very disappointed that you ended up being so selfish." I'm aware that she doesn't deserve my money, and I'm not planning to give her any. But the constant harassment of my sister trying to guilt me, it's just exhausting. Update. It's been a while. After my last post, I read all the comments and decided to show them to my mother. We had a talk about the situation. Again, she started on my ex's side, but after reading the post and all the comments and opinions, she realized she was wrong. I think the thing that hurted her the most was all the doubts about if she cheated on my dad and I wasn't his son, and if that was the reason if she was on her side. We had a very long conversation. She told me that she believed my ex because she was always so nice and kind with her, that she decided to don't believe me when I told her all the things she did to me during the relationship, because a good girl like her could never do something like that, so I must be lying. After that, she apologized to me. We are good now. On the other side, my sister. At first, she decided that she wouldn't talk to me until I'll take responsibility, but after some days I talked with her. She is totally on her side, even after showing her everything, she said that none of that mattered, because a woman's word go first, and that's all the proof anyone could need. Also, she said that even if you are not the biological father, you have an effective responsibility with her, so you must be man enough to take charge of them and start acting like a real man. She was a lost cause. About my ex, I did some research, and I found out that shortly after we broke, she started dating another guy, or maybe she was cheating me with him before. I'm not sure. They broke some weeks later, and she had multiple dates until she found she was pregnant. I'd also found that she had been trying to find a father to her kid for the last 2 years, and I was the next on the list, but looks like she is desperate now, because she was never that aggressive with any other one before. Now, the reason of this post. Some days ago, my ex and my sister came to my workplace. They made a big sign with my face that says, "He abandoned his child and irresponsible father," and started a drama saying all their bullshit. Their intention was to shame me and use the social pressure to force me to take charge of them. They literally said it. To don't make the story too long, they were taken out of the place. I got problems for that scandal, even after showing all the proofs and legal documents that showed they were lying. I was earned that this better never happen again, or I'll be fired. After that, I contacted my friend, the lawyer, and we are now redacting a very long, detailed paper against them, my ex and my sister too. They were too far, now I'm going against them with everything. Maybe that scared them enough to leave me alone. Update. Hi everyone, and sorry for the lack of news. Last week's had been crazy with a lot of stuff, but I think now is a good moment to update you all. First of all, I'm not allowed to talk a lot about the lawsuit. The most I can share to you is that my ex was extremely freaked out when she knew about it. She is now begging to drop it. She offered to take back everything she said, to never bother or even contact me again. She even tried to guilt me, saying that I would be ruining her and her son's life. But honestly, I don't care. I got tired of being the good guy long time ago. She messed with me. Now I'm fixing back. And for my sister, the lawsuit at first only made her worse. As her attempt to shame me in my job didn't work as good as she wanted, she moved it to social media, spreading her BS about me abandoning my child or not taking responsibility, and exposing my legal actions like acts of censorship and misogyny. But at the end, that will be worst for her, not only because I can dismiss her defamation easily, but also as more evidence to our favor. Anyways, this is going to be a long road, and we are just beginning. Recently, we had a posada on my parents' home. Every year we use this excuse to make a big family party before Christmas. I had my doubts because I didn't want it to be near my sister, but after some relatives assured me that she wouldn't be there, I decided to go. Big mistake. She was there. Mom decided that, despite everything that happened, I was taking all this too far, so she wanted all us to meet to solve this problem as a family. I tried to get out of there the moment I realized what she intended, but some relatives tried to stop me while my mom cried that I needed to stop, that I was tearing apart the family and needed to learn to forgive and let go. I realized that, despite everything, even knowing I was telling the truth, she was still on my sister's side. I got out there, saying her that I'm not attending any family event again if she is there, and to don't ever think on trying this BS again. At this point, almost all my family knows what she did. Some of them think my sister is crazy. Some other think she is crazy, but I'm taking it too far. A couple days ago, Mom invited me to spend Christmas with them. I didn't want to go after what she did, but I decided to give her a chance after she swore that wouldn't happen again. But not only she had planned to do it again, my brother warned me that this time she intended to lock me in until I forgive my sister and stop the nonsense. I called my mom and told her I knew, and that I was done with her and my sister. To don't talk to me until she realized she supported the wrong person, and to apologize. I don't need to say how many times she tried to call me the following hours, and all the drama she made when I didn't show up for Christmas. But again, I'm tired of being the good guy. So that's it for the moment. Hope all you had a nice Christmas, and I wish you for a happy and drama-free New Year. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, thank you. Story 2. My dad abandoned me when I was 2, and now wants to meet me. My mom overdosed when I was 4. I was used to her passing out for periods of time, so I just made toast and watched cartoons at first. But on the 3rd day I got bored and went to play at the playground. Someone became concerned, and next thing you know they're taking her away, and I'm going to stay with some nice people. Well, none of these people were very nice. I could go in details, but let's just say that I was removed from the first few due to abuse. And by the time I was put in a decent home, I wasn't a nice little kid people wanted to adopt anymore. I was too old and an asshole who hated them because I knew, in little kid logic, that even though they had red bunk beds and gave me ice cream after dinner, that soon they would be like the rest. I eventually ran away when I was 16. My foster dad got mad at me for going in the fridge without asking, and next thing I know I'm packing my bags because I figured someone would pay me to do shitty work and wouldn't treat me like trash. I'm 24 now, and my dad friended me on Heavy. We have the same name, and he sent me a long message about how he's gotten older now and thinks I should meet my siblings, etc. I hate him. Maybe I shouldn't. But he left me with a heroin addict and went on about his life. He has a family now. Well, cool. I never had one. Not until I grew up and started my own. I honestly think that letting him know I don't want to be his buddy or his son or whatever he thinks he needs would make me feel better. I could stop hating him and resenting him, unload it on him, and just move on. I also want to let him know that I lived in an apartment with my dead mom for 3 days, and we didn't have anyone who cared about us enough to come by. I want to show him the burns I have on my arm. I want to let him know that I hid from one of my foster dads every night under my bed and prayed to a God I no longer believe in that he would just leave me alone. I want him to know that I never had real birthdays or Christmases, that I wasn't allowed to go in the fridge in most of these places, and in extreme cases I wasn't even allowed to leave my room unsupervised. Would this be petty and horrible? Should I just ignore him? Relevant comments. Have you heard his side? Did he know your mom died? He did know my mom died because they contacted him and his relatives to try and place me. They weren't interested. My mom didn't have anybody. In classic 2012 Reddit fashion, people blamed the mother for being a bitch, so of course the dad would want nothing to do with the family, and that fighting for the kid would somehow result in him having no custody but paying child support, so a truly loving dad would just leave. Or something. I lost brain cells reading this comment. Then why would a truly loving dad refuse full custody 2 years later when offered it? And in all seriousness, no man I know would cut off contact with his children rather than pay child support and only get to see them on the weekend. More rudeness saying the mom didn't try either, so what dad did wasn't that bad in comparison to mom. Again, these comments are disgusting, but OOP gives a fuller picture, so I'm including them. They called him to see if he had any interest when my mom died. He didn't, and neither did any of his family. He then signed away any rights he had. And what did my mom do? Yeah, she owed it, but she tried. She fed and clothed me and loved me. She was addicted to a drug, and it was a horrible thing, but she loved her son. He walked away and 22 years later decided to see how life treated me. I was 4. For 2 years, she did it on her own. He never called or checked on me, or sent a dime. After living in 7 fake families, I can tell you that not one treated me as good as she did. She was screwed up, but she tried. He didn't have the balls to try. Do you have kids? I have 2. I've never spent more than a weekend away from them. And I can tell you, that I would die for them. I would work 80-hour weeks if that's what it took to support them. I would do anything for them. But I would never just walk away and not look back for 2 decades. She didn't get full custody. She got left with it. There wasn't a divorce or custody battle. Technically, that was criminal. Maybe his life is better. But apparently it bothers him enough to write me a sappy message and ask to meet me. But the cost of him walking away is he'll never be my dad, and I'll never grab the cup of coffee. A parent's job is to make their life support a child. And I have no respect for anyone who doesn't even try. Even people in prison write letter to their kids. More about foster time. I know there are good places. I stayed in contact with my social worker, and she cried when we met up once and said that I was her worst case because I was such a sweet, adoptable little boy, and I got the worst of the lot. And by the time she found a good placement, I was too scared for it to be a good place. Thanks for being a good foster mom. Update. I wrote a message. Is this okay to send? I decided I don't want to come off as bitter or angry. But I don't want him to still have hope of some kind of Hallmark movie ending either. Dear Jack, I am 24 years old. I am not the little boy who cried when you left. I am a man with a son and daughter of my own. I've never spent more than a weekend away from them. I am a father and a damned good one. I don't need you anymore. Once, I needed you. When my mom died, I really could have used a dad. I could have used anybody. When she died, there wasn't even anybody there. No one cared about us. I spent 3 days in that apartment, eating toast, and just waiting for her to wake up. And then they called you. Because you were my dad. You were 23, young, but not so young really. If you had came and gotten me, you would have had a son. I would have loved you forever. But you didn't. So I went to a bunch of people who didn't love me, but liked the check they got with me. It didn't make them treat me well. I have burn marks on my arm, and I still can't spend time enclosed in dark spaces after being shut in closets. An afternoon is a long time when you can't count. I didn't count on anybody. I used to pray the way Mom did with me when I was little. But after praying for someone to come and rescue me long enough, hiding under my bed, and praying that my foster dad wouldn't come in and would leave me alone for just one night. Just one night. I stopped believing in most things. I lived in 7 different homes from 4 to 16. And even the decent ones, I was never family. I didn't have real birthdays or Christmases. I wasn't allowed to go in the fridge and just get food when I was hungry. When I was 16, me and my foster dad got in a fight over a ham sandwich. Boy, what are you doing in our things? And so I left. 16, with nobody to call and $40. I just walked away with a backpack. Anything could have happened to me. But I made it. I'm a man now, and I don't need you. I don't want you to feel bad. I just want you to know why I can't be your son. I'm 24 and have never been anyone's son. I don't know how, and I just don't have it in me. Jackson. Edit. He also wrote a comment on a post about kids who overcame. Well, I am not some celebrity success story, but considering my poor placements and the fact that I ran away from the foster system in high school when I was 16, I think I might roughly qualify for ending up a pretty average guy. I'm 24 and work as an electrician. I have an associate's in it. Who would have guessed I'd go to college? No one. I went to school when I was 19 after I got my GED. I'm married with 2 kids. The oldest is 3 and the youngest is 7 months. And I'm a really good dad, which surprised me because I never had one, but I adore my kids. I would walk on fire for them. I'm happy. And I think that blue-collar, middle-class living suits me. I honestly thought I'd end up in prison or something, but instead I found this life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. There are a lot of interesting stories ahead.